My name is Novika Grasiaswaty Kamal, and I'm PhD student from University of Glasgow. Um, Thank you for having me to present my research related to platform worker, especially about how they resist how they resist the algorithmic. And my presentation title will be Everyday Algorithmic Resistance, the Initial Concepts and Scale Measurement Development. I did my research alongside with my co-authors, Dr. Belgin and Professor Adina. So today, I will give a little bit explanation about this study and the aim and intended contributions, the steps, and a little result. It's still ongoing research, so I really hope there are some kind of discussions related about my research. So a little bit about resistance behaviors. Usually, when we are talking about resistance behaviors in the workplace specifically, we talk about the actions that is done by the employees to oppose, to challenge the management decisions, policies, or practices. But in this case, I want to focus only at the everyday resistance. So a little bit difference with the resistance. Usually we know resistance in a more grand sense, a collective like strikes or demonstrations. I focus on the everyday resistance that involves a subtle act, something that probably disguised in everyday daily behaviors, such as deliberately working slower or trying to ignore certain directives or trying to manipulate a little data input on, in this case, how the platform workers did these everyday behaviors as an attempt to challenge the algorithmic management. So a little bit motivations why I interested in this research related everyday algorithmic resistance. As I previously stated before, usually resistant behaviors primarily focus on the overt resistance like boycotts, march, or strikes. That is actually, it's understandable because that kind of resistance is easy to observe and easy to acknowledge, both by the individual that it's the target or the external observers. But in the contrast, covert resistance, that is represents a more subtle and unrecognized form of resistance, usually are less visible and somehow it's less commonly studied. Trying to shift this attention on particular type of covert resistance into these everyday resistance behaviors, and trying to see in the context of platform workers and building upon empirical and conceptual works on everyday resistance and algorithmic resistance, I'm trying to introduce a new concepts related to this. And in this case, we call it as everyday algorithmic resistance. There is distinct category between this spectrum of work-related resistance. So this is the aim and intended contributions. And basically, this first step study is actually trying to conceptualize the everyday resistance, the everyday algorithmic resistance, and trying to develop a scale measurements to measure these kind of behaviors, especially in the platform worker context. And this is the step that I've done in the study, and the conceptualize everyday algorithmic resistance using literature review, item development and generalization, scale testing, and data analysis and conclusions. So this is all the base construct that actually become the base for for conceptualizing these everyday algorithmic resistance from the Johansson and Finthegen related everyday resistance behaviors, and also algoactivisms, algorithmic activism by Kellogg et al. That is focused only on the algorithmic resistance, and also covert resistance and algorithmic resistance. And that's why I trying to conceptualize this concept, this construct as a range of subtle, covert, and daily behavior. In this case, when I stated daily, it doesn't mean that you need or the worker need to do it in a daily basis. It means that daily behavior means that you can do this behavior as your uh, daily behavior, not something that you need coordinate with others, not something that you need to collaborations with others, not something that you need to make sure everything's perfect, just something that impromptu, you do it impromptu. And it's performed by the workers to counteract or to resist the algorithmics. So still conceptualizing this construct, I basically coming from the everyday activisms, because when we are talking about the resistance itself in the literature review, especially related to the organizational behavior, there are two streams of it. The first one is resistant to change, in which trying a behavior that actually trying to maintain the status quo. Meanwhile, resistance for change is more like is more like is more behavior that trying to challenge the status quo. In this case, challenge the technology. So coming from these roots and trying to see that this behavior is actually an attempt of a worker to resist this algorithmic control. So based on the concepts, I'm trying to map the resistance behavior towards the algorithmic systems, and there is I make it two and two classifications, in which overt versus covert and collective versus individual. And even though I know that there is actually, when we are talking about resistance, we are actually not talking about the black and white. We are talking about the continuums, the behavior continuum. But I want to simplify it first. So my focus is the left side on the left side on these slides, which is the covert and the covert resistant behavior that probably can be done individually or probably collectively, such as engaging with customer outside the platform, trying to gaming the system, sharing these tips and tricks to others platform workers. Meanwhile, I'm not focusing on the other sides, the overt resistance behavior, such as make a union, solidarity movement, or etc. So this is what I've done. After I've conceptualizing the constructs, I developed everyday algorithmic resistance using the items generating process, and using the especially previous theory coming from Kellogg's. And also I did a little bit ethnography to see how these outside resistance behaviors also occur in some platform workers online, in an online platform workers. So I adding collectivism and meta voicing in these dimensions. So in a total, there are 5 dimensions related to everyday algorithmic resistance. To test this scale, I use previous scale that related to this behavior, or at least based on the theory will be related to this behavior. The first one is counterproductive for behaviors. resistance behaviors, compliance intentions and behavior, because based on the theory itself, when the compliance will be negatively related to the resistance behaviors, and also algorithmic managements, because as I said before, when we are talking about the everyday algorithmic resistance behaviors, we also talk about the cause of the behaviors itself. In this case, RQ, and based on the previous research, there will be associations between the algorithmic management and everyday resistance behavior. Using prolific edu, 341 participants met the criteria, but because some of them not fully filled the questionnaires, only 293 that become our final data. There are some participants also unwilling to continue, and there are some participants fill the questionnaire with significant missing data, with the final samples 240. All identifying informations, including locations, IP addresses, was deleted to ensure confidentiality. There are some scale that actually reverse coded in Likert, so we adjusted it a little bit for data consistency. I hope it can be seen, so it's a little bit cut in here, but I did exploratory factor analysis to see how these items related to each others, and it's likely different to our initial predictions that item for each dimension loaded into 3 factors. So you can see also the final item. I was asked the platform workers whether or not they follow the recommendation related determining how to complete your jobs, or you follow the recommendations from the automatic systems related how you choose tasks or customers by the platforms. Overall, the reliability index for each dimension is quite good. Is have alpha from Brahman that more than 0.7, and the omega also show a good result. So related about the construct validity, at first, as I mentioned before, I conducted AFA, and it's the item loaded into 3 factors. But when we are trying to see the confirmatory factor analysis,
you have 2 minutes. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. When we are, I will make it fair. So when we are check the construct validity, the third confirmatory factor analysis, where we load all of the items in its dimensions in a 5 dimensions, is actually the best. Give us the best results. So the model 3 is the best results. We are trying to see all of them fit indices for all model, and the third model, the third model here, give us the best result. We are also check the convergent and discriminant validity for this scale. Based on our predictions, it's also related to its respective measurement scale, positively and also negatively to compliance intention. We also see how this the convergent validity, how it has shared variance with previous construct, and also when we make it 1 factors and 2 factors, the 2 factors itself has a better result than when we are when we analyze it into the 1 factors. It's also significantly related to algorithmic management. even though it's small, it's a small regressions, but still significant in 0.017. So thank you.